been a while since I uploaded any content to the channel, and obviously there's a great reason for that. Manchester United haven't really had a great deal of transfer activity happening over the last couple of weeks or so. The only news we've had is the news that we had before, pretty much almost done and dusted before the World Cup started, of Fred and Dalot, however you pronounce his name. Them two were already done and dusted pretty much, with Fred just to be confirmed by the club. Now, since then, the news has completely gone dead for Manchester United in terms of transfer news. To be honest, up till the last week, where it wasn't really massive. Well, to some people, it's angered a lot of fans. It's caused a lot of controversy along a lot of supporters that Marouane Fellaini signed a new contract at Manchester United. Now, obviously, I'm not really happy that Manchester United have given him a new contract, considering he wanted more money and he's just lumbered on the deal because no one else will pay him the money, which is more what's angered me than the fact that him actually staying. I've never been a massive fan of Fellaini, but if you're going to utilise him like Belgium have done, bringing him off the substitutes bench, then I'm fine with that. I don't want him starting games for Manchester United. Use him as a squad player, maybe in the League Cup and stuff like that, FA Cup games against shit opposition. That's where I want to see Fellaini, but I don't want to see him in the starting lineup. But preferably, I would as soon see Manchester United bring in someone else, like some Milinkovic, Savic, someone like that, to fill that void of another midfielder. But it looks like we're not going to sign another midfielder due to Fellaini staying. Now, the other news really is that Lee Grant has signed for Manchester United from Stoke City. He will presumably be Manchester United's third choice keeper from what I gather. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking this move is strange. He's an okay keeper. Would be a decent third choice keeper for Manchester United, considering it looks like Joel Pereira will be going out on loan. He rarely ever gets any football. I don't think he did get any last season. I know he did the previous season get some football. And for his development, he needs to get first team opportunities somewhere down the line. And that doesn't seem to be happening at Manchester United, if Manchester United are going to keep David De Gea and Sergio Romero at the club. Now, if them two stay at the club, then Lee Grant will not get much first team football at all. He may get a few substitute appearances, and that's about it. He won't even probably come off the substitutes bench, obviously, unless an injury. But that's the only time he's ever going to get on the bench, is if Manchester United choose to rest David De Gea and Romero starts, and then Lee Grant will be on the substitutes bench, which will only be like League Cup games and FA Cup games. And he may choose to give him a run out in a game if Manchester United have qualified for a Champions League group stage and there's 1 or 2 games to spare. Maybe give Lee Grant a run out. So he's going to be happy to sit on the substitutes bench or sit in the stand. So that is fine for me for signing him. But there hasn't been a lot of other activity for Manchester United. The last 24 hours, Duncan Castle has come out and said that Alex Sandro has agreed to come to Manchester United or something, but there's no fee been agreed. I'm not too sure. That one went dead in the water for weeks on end. And it was looking a bit worrying that Manchester United may go into the season with only Luke Shaw and Ashley Young at left back. Now, Luke Shaw, there has been pictures all over social media of him completely out of shape in the off-season, which is worrying when all managers that he has worked under have slated his commitment to the club. That is a real worry, and he has been slated by Jose Mourinho and Van Gaal. And if you've been slated by the managers, then personally I would do my utmost best to get in the best possible shape, be in training early, do everything possible in order to turn that around, and it doesn't look like he's going to. So really, Luke Shaw probably does need to fuck off. But if Manchester United don't get the Sandro deal over the line, then we're going to have to keep Luke Shaw, and it will probably be another season with Ashley Young at left back. There's not been too much other talk in terms of transfers. Alderweireld seems to have gone dead in the water, which is a little bit of a worry if Manchester United don't sign another centre-back, because I'm not too sure what Jose Mourinho's got plans for next season. We cannot go into another season with Phil Jones and Chris Smalling at the back, because Manchester United will not be in good stead for winning trophies. It is a bit of a worry that we haven't heard any more activity on sort of another major signing, but we just got to be patient. Jose Mourinho will be back in Manchester for the start of pre-season in about a week's, probably less than a week's time. So hopefully we will evaluate the squad, and there are some more transfers in the pipeline. But disappointed that I can't really break any more news to anyone. But we've just got to hope that something does happen. At the moment, I'm enjoying the World Cup, and the only positive that I've been seeing in the sort of centre-back areas is that Lindelof is looking a lot better playing for Sweden at the moment. So hopefully he's growing into the player that Manchester United hoped he would be, and that Bay and Lindelof can form that partnership that most fans wanted to see last season. We didn't see that hardly at all, them two playing on the pitch for Manchester United. And if Manchester United do not sign another centre half, then that's got to be the pairing for next season. We can't try and hope that Smalling and Jones are going to do the job, because they've been at the club so many years and it's not worked out. And you just hope that Lindelof and Bay can stay fit and produce a solid back line. Obviously the fullbacks need sorting out as well, and whatnot, but there hasn't been too much more activity. We're still looking, from what I gather, for a right-sided attacking player. That hasn't happened yet. Willian is still the name that most people are thinking could potentially come, but Chelsea haven't even got a new manager yet, so there's still a lot to hopefully look forward to in the transfer market. We will hopefully sign another 1 or 2 players before the start of the season, but pre-season does start in I think the first game's a couple of weeks away, so that isn't long. Manchester United do need to get their finger out a bit now and look to sign some players, because the transfer window does end earlier than normal. But excited to continue watching the World Cup. Some of the Manchester United players performing very well in this World Cup at the moment. The likes of Lukaku, Pogba performed very well in the last game, and obviously Lindelof's performing very well as well. So it's exciting time seeing some of them perform. Hopefully on the pre-season tour we can see a few youngsters, the likes of Chong and Angel Gomez and Scott McTominay, get a run out and see what they can do. And hopefully Axel Tuanzebe and Fosu Mensah can get some game time on that. And it may be that Jose Mourinho wants to give 1 or 2 of them a game instead of bringing in too many more players. I've got my doubts whether more than 2 more signings will happen for Manchester United this summer. I think he might want to give 1 or 2 of the younger players a bit more game time. The League Cup coming up early in September. Champions League group stage will resume, and hopefully we'll give a couple of them youngsters the chance to impress in some early fixtures at the start of the season. We will have probably a lot of players away still on international duty or on their summer breaks because they're going to be in the latter stages of the World Cup. So it does give some of these youngsters an opportunity to maybe stake a claim if they perform well on the pre-season tour, and maybe even be along the substitutes bench for the first 1 or 2 Premier League games. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on what's going on in the transfer window. Are you a little bit concerned on all this news that's regarding Manchester United at the moment? Would you have liked to see another couple of signs by now? I mean, it doesn't matter when we sign the players. If we leave it till a couple of weeks before the start of the season, it doesn't matter too much. But you do like to get the majority of your transfer business done as early as possible. But it hasn't really helped with the World Cup being on. A lot of players away on international duty, so it does make it harder to make the signs. Anyway, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll talk to you all again soon. See you.